What's up with all the logos looking the same now? And should churches follow? If you're a church that's looking for a rebrand, do you need a cross in your logo? Is your church not recognizable if it doesn't? Do you need a dove? Do you need a Bible? What makes a good logo for a church? Is it any different than a logo for a company? Can a business-minded designer create a logo for a church? These are all great questions. I'm going to tackle them very quickly in this video. If you want more tips like this on brand or messaging or marketing or advertising or just getting your church out there, I want your church to be the best known in your community. Whether your community is just a few neighborhoods, an area code, a zip code, or if you're like the church across the street from me, you want the entire town of Houston, the fourth or third largest city in America, to be a God-fearing city. Hey, you should be known, because when people feel the call of God on their life, when they feel the Spirit pulling on them, when they are entering a new season, or when they are brand new to the neighborhood, they're going to go to who Google knows, or they're going to ask their friends, or they're going to go to who they already know about, and your church should be on their mind. I think your church needs to be planting itself into the minds of others, so when they feel like they need support, when they have questions, your church is the answer. Your gospel-centered, Christ-honoring, God-fearing church should be the one they go to, not being led astray by a wolf in sheep's clothing false teacher. One of the ways that you can anchor your church into the minds of people and help them remember you is through your logo. This is what we call your visual identity. Some people call it brand identity. It's your logo. It's not your brand. Your brand is your reputation. Okay, your logo is the visual representation of your reputation. Hello. Someone called Myron Golden. Use that one. Your logo is how you stamp your church. So when someone sees the logo, they should automatically think about what makes your church unique, okay? When I see the swoosh, I think sneakers. I don't think fizzy soda. When I see the cursive red can, I think soda. I don't think sneakers. And so your logo is what creates a quick representation of your church, and you want people to think of your church, not the one that hurt them, not the one that they went to and used to not go to, not the one that they saw on the news. You want them to think of your church and what makes your church unique. We call that your memorable message, and your visual brand is how you anchor that memorable message visually. So if they see you out doing ministry, if they see someone wearing your shirt, they see your tent in the park, or they just drive past your sign, they're like, oh, that's the church that feeds people. Oh, that's the church that paid off $1 million in debt. Oh, that's the church that, is really into Jesus. Maybe my kids need more Jesus. So if I want them to have more Jesus, I'm going to that church. That's what people should know about your church. Okay. Your logo is the visual representation of it. Now, this guy came across my Twitter, and he's got a very good graphic layout here of how all these brands, tech and fashion, have simplified their logos. Google used to be that nice serif font. Now it's this sans just font. Microsoft used to be a slanted. Now it's just Microsoft. Airbnb used to be bubbly and fun. Same with Spotify. Now they're just stamped letters. They're boring. They're safe. They're sans serif, which means they don't have any hooks. Burberry got rid of the little animal here, right? So what's the deal with this? Logo simplification really started when we moved to smaller devices that are more digital. When you're in print, when you're in newspaper, competing for attention on a subway train or on a billboard or on signs or on a newspaper, a fanciful logo really got people's attention. But now that things are happening in the snap of a finger, you scroll and you scroll again without even realizing it, you're past it. You need the anchor to be recognized even faster. And so as screens became more prominent, designs became more flat. You stopped seeing so much shadowing. You stopped seeing so much detail. You started seeing more variations on a logo. And so because of that, a lot of logos have streamlined themselves to become more recognizable in an instant. If I showed you this Pinterest and then I showed you this eBay and I turn the screen over and turn it around, you would still recognize those brands because your brain can recognize it even faster than you even realize it. And if you have an overly complicated logo, it's going to be harder to remember. And so streamlining logos like this actually counterintuitively makes it more memorable. And when you have it more memorable, it becomes more recognizable. And when you have it more recognizable, you can have more people take a next step with you because they have some kind of trust associated with you, even the trust of just remembering who you are. And so I think that's one of the great things about the Bible is it's very recognizable. Even a simple, big, thick Bible is not often confused with a textbook. The publishers of Bibles for hundreds of years have realized that we have this unique word of God. We should make it stand out from other textbooks. So it's not sized like a textbook. The corners or the edges of the paper are gold or silver. They have a little strand bookmark to separate it. It is uniquely identifiable on a bookshelf from any other book, fiction, nonfiction, or textbook. The same way should be with your logo. People should see your logo and recognize your church apart from everyone else, not only from other churches, but from other organizations and brands as well. If you are considering a redesign or a rebrand and you want a new logo, consider this. Number one, simple is better. We live in an era where people are not going to take the time outside of your committee that's deciding on the logo to figure out what your logo means. They're not going to take the time to even recognize the things that are within your logo. A logo needs to be instant recognition, and what the logo represents is built up over time. That's your reputation. That's actually what your brand is. So do you need a complicated logo with lots of symbolism and doves and Bibles and grass? Oh my, I don't think you do. If you want to have one that's more of a royalty brand, meaning more of a brand of this is a place that we come with reverence, then yeah, your designer might make that recommendation. But for a majority of churches, we're seeing a lot of success simplifying the logo into just a simple mark or a simple word mark like these here. These are all word marks that becomes recognizable. And then the work we do to build the church's reputation in the community of a God-fearing, Christ-centered, God-honoring, love and supporting community, that is built up over time, and we anchor that to the logo. So a year later, they see the logo and they know those things. They don't have to sit there and study the logo for longer than they ever will. And that becomes tough when you're trying to do the approval process. That's why we always recommend working with someone, an expert, because even if you have a professional designer, if you have an amateur making the decisions and making the revisions and making the recommendations and doing the final approval, you're going to have an amateur design, because the professional is going to do what he does best, but the amateur is going to overrule all the good ideas for that. When a construction worker comes over to my house and is fixing the plumbing or fixing the roof, I'm not going to sit there and say they should do it my way. They should do what I think works. I'm going to let them do it, and I'm going to let them do it well. In the same way, if you're doing a brand, you need to trust the professionals and listen to their guidance. You do have the final say, but if they strongly recommend something, definitely heed the warning or heed the advice. And you may come out with something like this and it's more simple and you're like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't really look that nice, but it is memorable. One of my designers actually told me this and it's stuck with me ever since. A good logo should be able to be drawn by memory, and it should be tattooable, meaning you ever see those tattoos that people try to tattoo someone's face on their arm and it just looks terrible? They should be able to tattoo your logo on their arm and it should look just as well as it does on the screen. And it should be memorable. They should be able to draw every element of your logo. Even if it's not perfect, they should nail all the elements. And that's where we get the simplification of a lot. I mean, look at this, Saint Laurent, right? I mean, that is a very simplification, but the brand hasn't lost any recognition with it. The brand hasn't lost any value with that. It's just simplified the visual mark, right? And so if you're going through a rebrand or if you're thinking you want a new logo, definitely work with someone that has experience in knowing not only what makes a good logo, but how to communicate the right message to the right people in the right way to leave that visual mark. So when they see it, they instantly think of your church. This is one of the things that we do at Nava Church Marketing. You can check out our link down below, navachurchmarketing.com. We not only do your logo, we create entire logo packages, style packages. We train your staff and leaders to use the logo properly so it doesn't get misused. The last thing you want to do is invest in a logo and a good brand visual mark, and it never gets used correctly. Not only that, we also do the messaging on top of that, so you know what to say to anchor the message of your church, the reason your church exists, the value your church provides both to the kingdom and your community, and we anchor it to that visual marker. You want to learn more about how we do that, and you can click the link down below, Nava Church Marketing. If you like this video, you can subscribe, get more videos just like this one, and if you have any questions about logos for churches, leave them down below, and I'll make a video about that. God bless you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.